What's up everybody and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're going to do a little bit of a sit down and we're going to talk about the ideal body fat percentage to gain muscle. I think that there's a lot of ums and ahs in the industry of, we talk about main gaining, we talk about gaining as much muscle as possible, dirty bulking, clean bulking, all these types of things. And we do actually have a little bit of research, we do have a little bit of knowledge now to say that what is the best type, or what is the best amount of body fat that you should gain muscle with. Now, I think the first thing that we should say is that there are people who will outlie out of these recommendations. You always have those people who are superhuman in one way, but also we are genetically different, and maybe yours is going to be a few percent different than what I'm going to suggest or someone else's. But ultimately these guidelines should lead you to the answer of what percentage body fat-ish you can work out what the best percent body fat is for you. So first and foremost, you've got too low and you've got too high. Let's start with too high. Now for me, and generally speaking, a little bit of the research in there suggests that anything above maybe 20 to 24% is going to start being a detriment towards your hypertrophy goals. Why is that? Because you might be in the position where your blood glucose starts to creep up. Insulin sensitivity is a real thing, and the more fat you have, the higher that will start to go. If that's not the case, cardiovascularly you might start to suffer. You might start to suffer in the way that you gas before your muscle does. Has anyone been on a hack squat or a leg press? You're supposed to be doing a 20 rep set, you get to rep 12 and you're, well, if you break cardiovascularly before your muscle does, guess what? You're impeding hypertrophy. Not only that, digestion can become an issue, sleep can become an issue, low sex drive can become an issue, poor blood flow can become an issue, erectile dysfunction can become an issue, all because of gaining too much body fat and too much weight. But you may not feel those if you are 22, 24%. I myself have been around 20, 21% before in my lifetime. In fact, I'll put a picture up on the screen for you right now. This is probably about 20%. I didn't necessarily feel those aspects. I just felt a bit draggy and a bit heavy. I don't think it's an issue to feel like that for a small period of time, because you tend to have to push your body weight to a new level before you gain new tissue. But I wouldn't spend too long there, so that would be when your indication is to come down. But 20 to 22% is a very, very rough guideline and a pretty sound guideline for how high you should possibly go. If you start to creep a bit higher and you notice these effects, then that's you. If you're maybe around 18% and you feel these effects, then that's you as well. You know that you need to be a little bit lower, and that's something you should know, is that it could be a moving barrier. So we've established where maybe too high is and some of the things that you might feel. Now we can go to too low. Here's a really, really good picture of what too low is to gain muscle. Or to improve your health. You can see super lean, super shredded, super dense, dry, all of the things that you probably don't want to be in order to gain a lot of muscle. Why? Because we want to be in a net protein balance, we want to be in a net positive balance of calories, and we want to be providing more nutrients than what the body needs in order to synthesize new muscle. So what are the effects that you might feel of being too low body fat? Well, if anyone's done a bodybuilding prep, those are the feels. If you've not done a bodybuilding prep, very similarly to the opposite end of the things, maybe minus the cardiovascular issues, you're gonna have a low sex drive. Maybe your appetite is uncontrollably high. Maybe it's low, maybe your digestion is poor again. Maybe your sleep is poor because you're waking up because you're too hungry, or your body's waking up because you're too lean. If you start to feel an effect on performance, and that's probably something that you will notice on the opposite ends of why you feel really, really strong when you're 22% body fat, the cardiovascular performance gets affected, and vice versa, while your cardiovascular performance might be really, really good when you're lean, the actual strength performance might start to deteriorate. So if you're struggling to progress, if you're struggling to move those weights forward week in, week out, you might need some more calories. And generally speaking, for most people, that seems to be about 10%. There may be some people, the doctor himself, Greg Doucette, thinks he's 9%. I'd love to see a DEXA scan. Maybe he's less than that, who knows? But he feels great, he can perform. He's mentally cognizant, that's another thing. You can get mental fog from being too low body fat, and he feels good, so that's fine. There are those people who outlie a percent or two. But largely speaking, most of you, if you get towards 8, 7, 6, 5%, you're not gonna be the peak performance that you can be in order to gain muscle. So for most people, 10%. So what can we take from those two spectrums? We can take that between 10 and 20% is probably a pretty good place to be to gain muscle. What makes sense in that aspect is to probably start at 10, slowly work your way up to 15, see how you feel. If you feel great, let's keep pushing on to 20. And if you start to feel those things, okay, cool, I can pull back a bit. Or you could even push all the way up to pull back down, to push all the way up, and you could keep going through this, push up and pull down to make these looks look better. But you're going to feel those differences when you hit the top ends of things. And I think personally, if you're doing this to be the best and to maximize every inch and ounce of muscle you can, you probably need to push those boundaries in one way and in the surplus, but also in the deficit, of course, you need to push those boundaries. So consider how in you are. If you're all in, it's push those boundaries. If you're maybe lifestyle and you just want to improve over the long term, guess what? Probably between that 12 and 16, maybe 18% is going to feel good for you all the time. So just consider those things, consider those boundaries, and most probably you're between there. So for me, guys, that is the most optimal position to be in your body fat, not a specific percent, but between about 10 and 20. And just keep an eye on those side effects, or those effects of too high body fat and too low body fat. And when you do start to notice them, act on them. I hope you guys enjoy this type of video. Again, if you do, smash the like button, drop a comment. See you guys soon. Peace and love, bye-bye.